The less you give a shit what other people think about you, the more magnetic you are. And it's an interesting thing because when you let go of giving a fuck, you will notice that people respond to you differently and that you're not attached to what other people say, think, and do, and it makes you so much more magnetic. Now in this video, I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to do that. I think this video will completely change your energy from the inside out if you simply apply what I share with you in this video. Now, have you ever noticed that the more you let go of caring what other people think about you, the more that they actually either come around, respect you, or appreciate you. But have you noticed that the more you care what other people think about you, what their perspective is, the more you want someone else's validation, love, or support, the more resistant your energy becomes and the less they actually like you, validate you, or whatever. That's because there is an attachment involved. An attachment creates resistance, and attachment also displays the energy of neediness. Now, there's a direct correlation between that of neediness and having magnetic energy. If you have non-neediness, so a lack of neediness, that's what makes you magnetic. The degree to which you have neediness inside of you is the degree to which you are repelling love and validation and support and all of that away. So this really is about a game, not a game, but this is about an energy of letting go of the neediness. Letting go of neediness. Now, a lot of the information I'm sharing with you in this video comes from that of the books by Mark Manson, who has written the book, The Subtle Art Not Giving a Fuck. And it's mainly about understanding that when you give a fuck about what other people say, think, and feel about you, you're putting them on a pedestal, you're making them very important. But what ends up happening is you end up, in a way, abandoning yourself in the process of trying to get other people to like you and appreciate you. He also talks about neediness and how neediness is the root of all, like, the energy that is literally repelling that which you want. And what the book is really about, it's about realizing that you have to give a fuck about something, but just don't give a shit about the things that don't actually serve you. So really what the book's about is getting clear on your own sense of value and the values that you live by. This is something that I learned from Tony Robbins years ago, but always kind of rejected because I thought it was like, I didn't understand it completely. I was like, well, beliefs create reality. So whatever you believe to be true is reflected back to you. This whole value thing, I don't really understand. What values are is values make up your sense of identity. And values are the virtues that we live by. Now, one of the strongest human desires there is to remain consistent to the way we define ourselves. And we all have these subconscious values that we think are important, whether we realize it or not. And these subconscious values, a lot of times, came from childhood. So in childhood, if our needs weren't met in childhood, which many of us had that experience of at some level, maybe even, it's not that it's our parents' fault necessarily, it could be, but that's a perspective that normally needs forgiveness. Everything in life is fundamentally neutral other than the meaning we give it, and we many times took on the meaning of things that happened to us growing up that then remain on autopilot until we become aware of it. So if we didn't get validated growing up, we may now crave and need and want other people to validate us. And when it talks about giving a fuck, if we give a fuck and we want other people to validate us, and then we start putting other people's validation and approval on a pedestal, that's when things get wonky. Because we're leading in life with wanting other people's approval and validation to help fulfill our own lack of childhood need that was met when we were kids. So this is about becoming aware of the virtues we are living by. So for a long time, I was living by virtues that really had me in needy energy, that really had me feeling powerless. It had hard for me to set boundaries. And that was because I was living by virtues and values that were outdated. Those virtues and values were for me that on one hand, the thing that I wanted the most one thing that I really valued more than anything else was people's approval, their validation and approval. Because growing up, I felt like I didn't receive validation or approval. I then searched it in everybody else. I'd search it in the people, someone I was dating. I would search it for friends. And in a weird, twisted way, we tend to try to recreate similar childhood dynamics that feel familiar. So for me, for a long time, that was recreating someone in my life that was similar to my ex-stepmom, who was mentally and physically abusive and manipulative. So I would attract people into my life that had that kind of manipulation energy that also, in a weird, twisted way, I would feel safe around that energy. There's something about it that felt familiar to me because somebody else telling me what to do felt safe. I remember when my ex-stepmom and my dad divorced, and my dad divorced her when I was 15 years old, and I remember I was all of a sudden, I had all this freedom. I was allowed to have friends. I was allowed to eat enough food. I was allowed to go to school activities. I was allowed to, I didn't have to earn everything. Wasn't locked outside working out all day. I was able to do a lot of things I wasn't able to do before. And there was something about that to me that felt scary. There was something about that felt like there was anxiety. In that moment, I remember, even though prior to being able to have freedom, I was normally locked outside with my brother. We would sneak inside the house just to watch TV sometimes. One of us would have the remote with the finger on the previous channel button so that if somebody came home, we'd push the previous channel button so they didn't think we were on, watching TV, and then we'd throw the remote and then run outside and continue working. That's what we had to do if we ever wanted to watch TV. Even though we had to live under that kind of pressure and stress, there was something about it that felt safe. And in a weird way, growing up, then after my ex-stepmom left my life, I would recreate that, not subconsciously. Because one of my values was trying to prove myself to somebody else. So it was either in a jealous girlfriend or it was in a manager at Nordstrom's that was the same personality as my ex-stepmom. There were these archetypes that I attract to reflect back that because it felt familiar. And that's what we do in our lives. We recreate familiar childhood dynamics in our present day right now based on the values and the unmet childhood needs that we had growing up. So if we really care and if we really craved certain things growing up that we didn't receive, we will then search for it on the outside, but normally we'll attract people who can't give it to us because that feels familiar for people not to be able to give us that love, support, whatever it is. But the main part of the thing that will transform your life more than anything else is becoming aware of the values you are currently living by. And for me, I was living by other people's validation or approval, so I'd be trying to earn that. I'd live by people-pleasing other people. I was trying to feel significant by making YouTube videos that other people would watch, that I had all these followers so that I could show people that didn't believe in me when I was on my come up, look, I did it. You said I wouldn't do it, I did it. Trying to prove people in my family that I'm worthy. It was this feeling not worthy because I valued other people's validation, approval, and significance so much because I felt like I didn't receive it growing up. Now, what really changed for me is I went from, as a people pleaser or a nice guy or the empath, I really focused on other. There's this way of looking at empaths, people pleasers, nice guys that will completely transform your life if you see it like this. At least it did for me. That is that growing up, the empath is somebody that can feel other people's energies. Now, one of the reasons the empath, the people pleaser, or the nice guy can feel other people's energy is because growing up, that became a survival mechanism. Maybe mom or dad physically or emotionally withdrew. And from that, we then decided, I have to be a certain way in order to be loved. Maybe the reason they're emotionally unavailable is because something I did wrong. Maybe mom and dad divorced because I wasn't enough. We then abandon ourselves, the internal, to then please the external so that the internal can feel safe. So then there's this abandonment that goes on. And normally when it comes to giving a fuck about the wrong things, I find that a lot of times it stems down to an abandonment wound. Of feeling abandoned growing up because mom or dad or some parental figure emotionally disengaged, and then making a choice, a decision that there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. Or believing other people are going to leave. And from that internal internal decision than deciding, well, maybe if I overcompensate, I add value to all my friends, I don't have any boundaries, I try to fix everybody in my life, maybe then I'm good enough. And it's saying if other, so there's either the self and other. The self is everything inside of your body, it's feeling inside your own frame. Other is everything else. And what happens is we stop feeling safe in our body and we start looking to the external to feel safe and validated. And what ends up happening in that dynamic is we abandon ourselves for other. And that becomes a pattern. That becomes something that is familiar to us. That becomes something that we're used to. So then we continue to abandon ourselves to make everybody else happy, which of course depolarizes polarity in relationships, which of course is overcompensating and showing the neediness, because then it's needing other people's validation and approval in order to feel safe. And the thing that we've done is we've made it very important what other people think, other people's validation, love, support, or certificates, instead of what we think. And the answer, the transformation that we experience is when we stop abandoning ourselves, we stop giving a shit about abandoning ourselves and what everyone else thinks, and we start more so valuing ourselves and living by our own values, our own virtues. So what I did is I let go of wanting validation, approval, and significance, and I started to become aware of it. 90% of all transformation is awareness. As I became aware of that, I then started to live by a new set of virtues. Those virtues included vulnerability. Vulnerability, the ability to express my heart, the ability to express myself to other people, to express what's real. That became one of my top virtues. So if I had trouble setting boundaries with someone, it became easier because I value vulnerability. Even if it's uncomfortable, I express it. If I was afraid of being physically, if I was normally afraid of sharing how I emotionally feel, I would then realize, wait, who I am is somebody that is vulnerable. Because the thing is when you have shame from childhood and you believe you're broken, you try to hide that vulnerability because you don't want to be rejected again. But the key is going into the vulnerability, knowing that yes, you could get rejected, but from expressing the real you, at least you're being the real you. I mean, you'll find that when you're not afraid of rejection, you don't get rejected nearly as much, which is interesting. The other one I live by is authenticity. Being the most authentic version of myself. By moving up those values of authenticity, vulnerability, courage, stepping into the unknown, adventurous, all these values that I used to not really value as much, it completely changed my sense of identity. Because then, way lower on the list, I'd be lying if I said there was not the validation or approval, if I didn't care at all about that I would just wear like a tinfoil hat and run around like a dog or something. Actually, I don't know if I would do that. That's not the most passionate thing for me to do, but I just wouldn't give a shit about at all what other people think, but I don't think that's authentic, because at some level I think that I for sure do still care what people think. However, it's not nearly as much as it used to be. And I'm more so expressive, I want to be more so expressive of now of the real me, even if that means some level of rejection or some level of not being approved of or something. I now value being authentic over that. And now the more magnetic you will be is the more you let go of the neediness of needing other people to validate your frame or needing other people's approval or validation, by not abandoning yourself and giving yourself the values, the virtues, the north compass to live by, the more magnetic you will be. That is the key to this level of true magnetism. Now, there is a video right here on the 5 secrets to letting go that make you attractive AF. It's one of my most powerful videos. If you haven't seen this video, watch it right now to wire this all in. In this video, I want to share you 5 secrets to letting go that will make you more attractive and that will completely transform your life. And when you start applying them, it changes everything.